Hi, this is Margo. This is Wednesday, May 23rd, 2018. And I've been working on this show quite a bit ever since Saturday when we just briefly looked at sulfur dioxide levels as a result of investigating into the Hawaii volcanoes, and we saw the sulfur dioxide levels over here in the Pacific Ocean. But we also saw, and I didn't really think about it very much, the sulfur dioxide levels over here in Siberia. And I didn't really think about that. I wasn't focused on that much on Saturday when I did the show. I was mainly focusing on Hawaii, and then we saw there was activity in Central America. This is Costa Rica, I'm thinking. This whole area down here in Central America has active volcanic stuff going on. So you've got that. But I kept going back to sulfur dioxide since Saturday and thinking about what's going on up here in the Arctic and why would it be releasing in the Arctic. And so I've been looking into some things. Originally, this show was going to be just about volcanic gases, the different kinds of gases that are given off during a volcano. We can still look at that, and sulfur dioxide and how harmful it is and effects on human health, and how when a volcano erupts, all the different things that it dissipates into. And but then the more I started looking at this, the more this area up here in Russia just really bothered me. And so I kept digging and kept digging. And so this view, this is from the CAM's website. I'll show you how I got here in a minute. And this is the Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Service, and they're out of the EU, and they have a network where they gather their information and their data from around the world. They have stations set up. They have a lot of different reporting agencies coming together to create this data, and it's all on the internet, and you can go and look at the world, look at the globe, and see what's in our atmosphere. And I found this about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I can't stop looking at it. And the more I look at it, the more I find, and then the more I find, the more I look at things, and it's like this huge rabbit hole I'm going down. So here's the charts view. Actually, that's not from the North Pole. We're going to look at that in a minute. Let's go to the globe again. This is a smaller view of what I was just showing you. The filter is sulfur dioxide, and the way it's measured generally is total column. And I was interested because you can see it going into the atmosphere when these volcanoes are blowing up in Hawaii. And the latest data is in. It's actually through today because this is UTC time, so they're ahead of everybody. So you've got Hawaii over here, That's the base time. That's right, well, UTC time, May 23rd. But not only do you have it in Hawaii, but look up here and look at the whole North Pole region. This disturbed me. This is disturbing me a lot. And so before we get into that, I'm going to read some articles. I have 2 browser windows. And of course that one crashed. And we're going to talk about volcanic gases. Let me get this one back. Oh, this one is really cool. I love this article. We may go into more detail. I'm going to be doing a series of shows, I can already see, just about sulfur dioxide and volcanoes, and because there's so much to it. But this is from Wikipedia, and it says this article needs more citations for verification. But this is, I liked this article. It says, volcanic gases are gases given off by active or at times by dormant volcanoes. These include gases trapped in cavities or vesicles in volcanic rocks, dissolved or dissociated gases in magma and lava, or gases emanating directly from lava or indirectly through groundwater heated by volcanic action. The sources of volcanic gases on Earth include primordial and recycled constituents from the Earth's mantle, assimilated constituents from the Earth's crust, and groundwater and the Earth's atmosphere. Substances that may become gaseous or give off gases when heated are termed volatile substances. And here's the composition of volcanic gases. The principal components of volcanic gases are water vapor, carbon dioxide, sulfur, either as sulfur dioxide, high temperature volcanic gases, or hydrogen sulfide, low temperature volcanic gases, nitrogen, argon, helium, neon, methane, carbon monoxide, and hydrogen. Other components detected in volcanic gases are oxygen, meteoric, hydrogen chloride, hydrogen fluoride, hydrogen bromide, nitrogen oxide, sulfur hexafluoride, carbonyl sulfide, and organic compounds. Exotic trace compounds include mercury, halocarbons including CFCs, and halogen oxide radicals. The abundance of gases varies considerably from volcano to volcano. Water vapor is consistently the most common volcanic gas, normally comprising more than 60% of total emissions. Carbon dioxide typically accounts for 10 to 40% of emissions. Volcanoes located at convergent plate boundaries emit more water vapor and chlorine than volcanoes at hotspots or divergent plate boundaries. This is caused by the addition of seawater into magmas formed at subduction zones. Convergent plate boundary volcanoes also have higher, here are all these formulas, I don't remember exactly what they are anyway, than hotspot or divergent plate boundary volcanoes. So here's the picture of how, here's your volcano, here's the plume coming up. Now I'm going to show you another picture. I made a cheat sheet because I don't know all of these elements. I'm not a scientist. I don't know the elements. So I made a cheat sheet so you can follow along here. This is what happens in a volcanic eruption. You have the volcano, you have the plume going up, and you have sulfur dioxide. Here's my cheat sheet over here. Carbon dioxide, hydrogen fluoride, and hydrogen chloride, all in this plume, and ash, and that's all in the plume. And then it starts dispersing when it mixes with the atmosphere. And it starts dispersing, and here's sulfur dioxide, and then it turns into sulfuric acid when it mixes with oxygen. And then this sulfuric acid can come down in acid rain when it rains, or it can be carried in the jet stream and taken around the world up in the jet stream. It can condense and coagulate, it can go into the clouds, it can it's just recycled over and over and over. And then when it comes down in acid rain, it can kill the plants and have a really awful effect on our planet. So you've got photochemistry, dispersion. HV is light. OH is hydroxide. You've got your albedo, and then these are things that it can turn into into O5 is dinitrogen pentoxide. That doesn't sound good. Like I said, I'm not a scientist. I looked all these up, and they're toxic. And then you've got chlorine nitrate, hydrogen chloride, and then it can also come back up into nitric acid, and then hypochlorite and ozone, and it destroys the ozone. So this is what happens when you have a volcanic eruption, and this is why climate scientists, they look at that, and it really messes up the atmosphere. And then you've got all the ash that goes up, and it can actually cause global dimming because, you know, it cuts out the rays of the sun and some other reasons too. So, which is just as bad as too much sun. So, there's that. And then I wanted to see what the effects were on the planet, sulfur dioxide, and on human health. And so here's one thing. This is from Wikipedia. Sulfur dioxide is the chemical compound in the formula SO2. It is a toxic gas with a pungent, irritating smell. It is released naturally by volcanic activity and is produced as a byproduct of the burning of fossil fuels contaminated with sulfur compounds. So what you'll find on your CAMS things, you'll find sulfur dioxide coming up, over China and wherever there's a lot of industry and burning of fossil fuels, but not as hot, not as heavy as when it's just strictly volcanic activity. And then here's the structure and bonding. Here's how it occurs. It's found on Earth and exists in very small concentrations and in the atmosphere at about 1 parts per million. It's found on other planets. Here's how it's produced. Sulfur dioxide is primarily produced for sulfuric acid manufacture in the United States. And so we make it, and it's used in laboratories. It's some sulfur dioxide is also produced by roasting pyrite and other sulfide ores in air. Combustion rates, reduction of higher oxides, etc., etc. Industrial reactions, laboratory reactions. It's the precursor to sulfuric acid. It's also used as a preservative. Sulfur dioxide is sometimes used as a preservative for dried apricots, dried figs, and other dried fruits, owing to its antimicrobial properties, and is called E220 when used in this way in Europe. As a preservative, it maintains the colorful appearance of the fruit and prevents rotting. It's also added to sulfured molasses. Now, you can get fruit that's been dried without sulfur dioxide, but most dried fruit uses it. You have to read the labels. It's used in winemaking. It was first used in winemaking by the Romans, when they discovered that burning sulfur candles inside empty wine vessels keeps them fresh and free from vinegar smell. It is still an important compound in winemaking and is measured in parts per million in wine. It is present even in so-called unsulfurated wine in concentrations of up to 10 milligrams per liter. It serves as an antibiotic and antioxidant, protecting wine from spoilage by bacteria and oxidation, a phenomenon that leads to the browning of the wine and a loss of cultivar-specific flavors. Its antimicrobial action also helps minimize volatile acidity. Wines containing sulfur dioxide are typically labeled with containing sulfites. So all your wine has it. It's used as a reducing agent to decolorize substances. So to bleach papers, to bleach clothes. It's used biochemical and biomedical roles. It's toxic in large amounts. It's used as a refrigerant. It's used in the solvent industry. And they're proposing to use it in climate engineering to try and bring down global warming. They haven't started using it yet so far. It's an air pollutant. Sulfur dioxide is a noticeable component in the atmosphere, especially following volcanic eruptions. It's a major pollutant, air pollutant, and has significant impacts upon human health. In addition, the concentration of sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere can influence the habitat suitability for plant communities as well as animal life. Sulfur dioxide emissions are a precursor to acid rain and atmospheric particulates. So this is very serious. Inhalation. Inhaling sulfur dioxide is associated with increased respiratory symptoms and disease, difficulty in breathing, and premature death. So they've established, how much you can breathe in and for it to be safe, etc., etc. The people who have asthma or sensitivities, it's a lot lower for them. Ingestion in the United States, the Center for Science in the Public Interest lists the two preservatives, sulfur dioxide and sodium bisulfate, as being safe for human consumption, except for certain asthmatic individuals who may be sensitive to them, which I am. It says especially in large amounts. Symptoms of sensitivity to sulfiding agents, including sulfur dioxide, manifest as potentially life-threatening trouble breathing within minutes of ingestion. So that's a fairly short article. I'll include the links to all of these below. And here's where I was doing a search for sulfur dioxide's effects on health. And the first one that comes up was an article that I had bookmarked and I was going to share with you, but it's since been removed. It's by the United States Park Service, National Park Service. That's been removed. So there's some other articles there. This is a really good in-depth article about sulfur dioxide, what it is, what happens when it enters the environment, how you can get exposed to it. If you work in the smelting industry, copper smelting especially, you're exposed to you've got high exposure. Other exposures occur with paper, food preservatives, and fertilizers. So, and it leaves through the body through the urine. Here's how it can affect the health. It says studies in animals support the human data regarding respiratory effects of sulfur dioxide. At low levels, less than 1 parts per million of sulfur dioxide exposure, guinea pigs displayed changes in their ability to breathe as deeply or as much air per breath. More severe symptoms seen in animals exposed to high concentrations of sulfur dioxide include decreased respiration, inflammation or infection of the airways, and destruction of areas of the lungs. I'll tell you, you can also be exposed to sulfur, like sulfur soap. I used it a couple of times and I got really bad reaction. I couldn't breathe. I literally could not breathe. Another way that you can get exposed to it is through supplements. MSM is and a lot of people take it, and it's sulfur, and I was using it as eye drops for several years, and I was taking it internally, and then not knowing that I was harming myself, and then I did some research and found out that MSM, it should be used on a short-term basis, and it's used to help the body detox. But it's sulfur, and I've gotten a sulfur allergy. So I'll put a link to that article. And here's another one. This is from the EPA. Sulfur dioxide basics. It's basically saying the same thing. How does it get into the air? The largest source of SO2 in the atmosphere is the burning of fossil fuels by power plants and other industrial facilities. Smaller sources of SO2 emissions include industrial processes such as extracting metal from ore, natural sources such as volcanoes and locomotives, ships and other vehicles, and heavy equipment that burn fuel with a higher sulfur content. So, I want you to remember that about how it gets into the air. Here's another article. This is from the Australian government on sulfur dioxide. It says 99% of the sulfur dioxide in the air comes from human sources. The main source in the air is industrial activity that processes materials that contain sulfur, e.g. the generation of electricity from coal, oil, or gas that contains sulfur. Some mineral ores also contain sulfur, and sulfur dioxide is released when they are processed. In addition, industrial activities that burn fossil fuels containing sulfur can be important sources of sulfur dioxide. And I read somewhere that China is the leading leader in sulfur dioxide emissions, or sulfur emissions. And here's Australia's safe limits for parts per million. 0.2 parts per million averaged over a 1-hour period. This is what's safe to breathe in. 0.08 parts per million over a 24-hour period, or 0.02 parts per million averaged over a 1-year period. So you can look at all of these and you can do your own research. I encourage people to do their own research in this. Because the more you get involved, the more you understand what's going on and how this is very odd what we're seeing here. Now I've got the CAMS charts page up, and this is from today, but what I'd like to do is go back. This is the actual data. It goes back 5 days, so to Saturday, May 19th. And we're going to see, we're going to make the movie for the sulfur dioxide coming up. Now here it was at the beginning of Saturday. This is UTC time in Hawaii, and look at this in Russia. Now this area in Russia is huge. It's bigger than Hawaii. And this is what I don't understand. You know, I'm not aware of any volcanic activity in Russia that would be releasing this kind of sulfur dioxide. This is up in Siberia. There's nothing up there. There's nothing that would be creating this amount of sulfur dioxide. Now here's China over here. Here's India. You can see the levels down here. And another thing that I would like some help with, if there are any scientists out there who could help me understand these readings. Now this is the column level. This is total column. And it's measured in 10 to the 15th molecules per squared centimeters. And how does that translate to parts per million is what I would like to know, because I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't know these things. But it doesn't look good. From where I'm sitting, it doesn't look good to me. So we're going to make our movie, and we're going to start from Saturday going through Wednesday. And we're going to look at the globe, and then we're going to look at some different areas and flush this out. And then we're going to look at something else real quick. Unless there's something going on up in Russia that we're just not aware of, but I don't know. But this implies seeing the sulfur dioxide where it's coming off of Hawaii from the volcanic eruptions. Okay, here we are. Here's our movie going. This is from Saturday. There's Hawaii. This is the Costa Rica area. Those are volcanoes going off. This is Argentina. Over here is Vanuatu. There we've got activity in Vanuatu. Well, here it is. But look at Russia. I mean, this implies that there's some very high activity going on, and then it spreads out over the Arctic. It just spreads out going through today, and then it starts over. This is Tuesday. Okay, let's go. Let's change our base time. Let's go to Monday and see, because it says forecast, but I'm wondering if this is real data. See, it's red over here. Red over here. This is Vanuatu. Here's Hawaii. There's Costa Rica. There's Argentina. Here's Africa. There's stuff going off in Africa. So there's just obviously a lot of stuff going on that we're not aware of. And why would we be? Unless you have time to sit around looking at stuff like this, which most people don't, but I do. So this is what I'm doing. And frankly, you know, it just raises a lot of questions in my mind. Okay, so this is starting on Monday. So you can see it going off again now. And it's really active down here in Costa Rica. Okay, let's move it to today. Let's look at it today. Okay, here's current data. Look at this. This is, well, Wednesday. That's already finished because it's UTC time. This is actual, real data. Look at this. Hawaii. And look at this red, how it's dispersed. But how could it have spread out like that and stayed so red? I mean, these are the kind of things I'm thinking about. And there's Vanuatu going off. And then it makes the forecast having to do with, you know, all this data. It makes the movie and makes the forecast. So it's making the movie. Let's see what they're going to forecast for sulfur dioxide. And it does change colors as it's dissipating. You can see as it goes through and it just dissipates, it does change from the dark red to the lighter red to orange and gold and so forth. As it starts dissipating and going up into the atmosphere and changing to other things like we saw on our other picture. So this is just really curious to me. It's going off again up there. I just have more questions. This is like when I was into UFOs. It's like the more I dug, it's like every question I had, the more I looked, I would get 50 new questions. We just don't know. We just don't know. So let's go. I know everyone wants a closer look at Hawaii. Let's go to the Pacific area. This is Wednesday. Look, see? And here's Vanuatu, and you can see it going down. You can see where the carbon dioxide was being carried in the air, carried down, and it's dissipating as it's going down. And of course here's Hawaii. And Alaska, there's stuff going off up there. Here's your ring. This is your whole ring of fire here. This is definitely going off. There's stuff over here that I haven't even looked at in detail. Actually, I want to go change the base time. I want to go back to Saturday. Because when I did the show on Saturday, I was using Friday as the base time and last week as the base time. So now we have new information. So here was our base time from Saturday. Okay, here's starting Saturday. Here we go. See, it was going off then, but not as much as now. And now we'll load the movie. You can see how you can just spend hours looking at this stuff. It's got me all caught up. Here we go. There you go. You can see it going off. You can actually see it dispersing, and you can see it's coming over towards the United States, and it takes a few days for it to get here. Now, when you see like the sulfur dioxide over land like this, where it's not that bright red, that's from industry. That's all from industry, I'm thinking. So there's not that much coming up from the United States and North America. There's a lot coming up over China and Asia, as far as the lighter colored, like the yellow, then the green, that's still high. So that's from Saturday. Now, let's go. I'm really anxious to get up to the Arctic. So we're going to get the Arctic view here. Okay. Going back. This is from Saturday. Now that you have a better idea about the sulfur dioxide, and that these really high levels are coming from volcanoes. I mean, that's the implication. These really high levels. This is Siberia. And I'm going to pull up another map. Another map I want to show you. Let's look at Russia so that we get our bearings and see exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at this area. Now here's the island Novaya Zemlya that we were looking at with the methane that was coming up all around here. But this is further east. It's in the central Siberian plateau, and it comes all the way down. So there's something being released. Something is releasing this sulfur dioxide in central Siberia. So that's what we're looking at. Okay, here it is. And it actually goes down here past that state. Let's see. Down into Asia. It's actually going way, oh wait, down here. So, this is from Saturday. So let's load this movie. And then this is over the Arctic. I mean, right over the Arctic. It's kind of hard to see because of the dark blue. But this is Greenland here. Here's Canada. Here's Alaska. And this is all ocean. This is water here. This is the Arctic Sea. Or ocean. Ocean Sea. I get confused about that. But that's water. And see, it's coming up out of the water here. So that implies some kind of volcanic activity underneath the water. That's what that implies, that it's coming up through the ice. And this is all frozen here in Siberia. So it would imply that this is coming up through the ice, through the permafrost, and it's seeping up, releasing sulfur dioxide in large quantities into the atmosphere. That's what that's implying. Well, I apologize to everyone. They just crashed my computer in the middle of recording that. And then I got everything restarted and they crashed it again. And so I decided to call this part 1 of my sulfur dioxide and volcanoes series. And I will continue with the next video in the next few days as I have time. And I have some more articles to present about volcanoes under the Arctic Sea, and it's really interesting information that I was not aware of. So I hope you enjoyed this. My name is Margo. I'm a hypnotist, holistic life coach, empathic spiritual healer. My website is margoshealingcorner.com. And I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Guy McPherson next Thursday, May 31st. And I did an announcement video. So go ahead and check that out. It's going to be a live call-in show where you can call in and ask him questions. And we're going to be talking mainly about methane. So I look forward to hearing from people. If you have any questions that you want me to ask Guy when I interview him, put them in the comments below and I'll be sure and get those asked. So until next time, everyone take care. Time is short. I suggest that you get your spiritual house in order. We just don't know how much time we have. It could be days, it could be weeks, it could be a few months. I don't think we have long. So until next time, take care. God bless. Goodbye.